Hey, how's it going? I'm Seth, and a couple months ago, there's this really awesome show that a lot of people really liked. It was called Arcane, and I, being the nerd that I am, decided that I was going to make Magic the Gathering arcade cards. There's this site I use called MTG Card Builder, and I go on, and you can upload images, and you can make your own cards, and yeah, you can save them, and then print them out, and then they have this little thing down here. It says not for sale, if it would focus. It says not for sale, but basically, yeah, I just made a couple decks. I made a couple cards, and I've tried to make decks out of it. I have made a couple decks. I've since made a Silco deck, and I have made a Victor deck. So what I did with Silco was I gave him an Eminence ability, and that means that even if they're not on the battlefield, if they're just in the command zone, then you're still getting value out of them, which means they're really powerful cards because you don't even have to play them for them to do stuff. So I gave Silco an Eminence ability. I thought it worked really well for his character. And what he does is, whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, as long as he's in the battlefield or the command zone, you may pay 1 mana. If you do, you create a tapped artifact token named Shimmer that has, that has 2 mana. Tap, sacrifice this artifact, target creature gets +2/+2, and is goaded until your next turn. So all he does is whenever an opponent plays a creature, you pay a mana, you make a Shimmer. Shimmer can then be used to goad your opponent's creatures or your own creatures. That's it. And then when he's on the battlefield and a goaded creature attacks, you draw a card. Just get value out of it. He's 2 generic mana and then blue, black, red. I thought Grixis was a perfect color combo for him, and he is a 1 power 4 toughness creature. Not super powerful power toughness wise, but definitely for that drawing ability and the Shimmer creation ability, I think it works really well. But yeah, I'll just move on to some of the other pieces that I made. So we have Finn, Disloyal Cambaron. When Finn enters, you mill 2 cards. When he attacks, surveil 1, and when he dies, you may exile him, and if you do, you get to return a creature. It's just recursion. You get to return a creature. He's 2 black and 2 red, and he's a 3/4. It's pretty okay. He's just recursion. That's all he is. The rest of the Cambarons play off of specifically the Shimmer themselves. So we'll start off with Margot. Margot, Cruel Cambaron for 2 blue and a black. She's a 1/2. And whenever you make an artifact on an opponent's turn, that player may create 2 treasure tokens. If they do, you draw a card. It only triggers once each turn. Smeech, Greedy Cambaron for 2 generic and 2 black. Whenever you goad a creature under an opponent's control, you may pay 1 life and create a tapped treasure token, just getting some mana value out of making those Shimmers. Tross, Bleak Cambaron for 1 and 3 black mana, 1/3. Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, you gain life equal to the number of artifacts you've sacrificed this turn. This is really interesting because if you get, enough mana and enough Shimmers out, then on your turn, you can just sack a bunch of Shimmers, a ton of value, but I understand why this can't really be a card, because for treasures especially too, if you just have a treasure deck, this guy's insane. And then Rennie, Vengeful Cambaron, 3 generic, a black and a red for 4/3 with Menace. And whenever you goad a creature you control, you can choose up to 3, and you can pay 2 life 3 times, up to 3 times, to give it haste, menace, or reach. So that can be for protection in case a flying creature's coming at you, you need to give something reach, or just to have a creature swing with haste, or make a guy scarier with menace. But that is it for the Cambarons. And then I just have some other cool pieces I made. So Chemtank Soldier, 2 generic and 2 red. Haste, whenever he attacks each combat if able, it's goaded. And then when he attacks with power greater than his base power, you may discard a card and draw a card. Just supposed to incentivize you putting Shimmers on himself. Chemtank Giant for 4 mana and then a blue and a red. 6/5 Menace. When Chemtank Giant attacks with power greater than its base power, you may discard up to the difference and then untap that many lands. And then Suckers. This card I actually really enjoyed designing. I thought it was pretty cool. When it enters, it deals 5 damage. It's 2 generic, and then for Grixis. When it enters, it deals 5 damage to any target, and when an opponent is dealt combat damage by a goaded creature, they may draw a card. If they do, the controller of Suckers gains 1 life and draws a treasure token. And then I just have 2 final pieces. I have Savika, Left Hand of Zon for 2 mana, and then a red and red and a black. She's a 3/2. When she attacks while goaded, she gains menace and death touch till end of turn. And then whenever another creature you control attacks while goaded, you put a counter on Silco, and she has persist. So she will, when she dies, she'll return to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on her. And then off of her second ability, she will continually give herself +1/+1 counters, counteracting those -1/-1s. And so if you don't remove her really quickly, then she'll probably stay on the board, or just exile her, which I thought was cool, because Silco pretty much always comes back. And then finally, to close out the video, we have Jinx, Loose Cannon for Grixis. She's a 3/1 with haste, death touch, and reach. When she dies, if she was in combat, you may sacrifice any number of creatures, and each player takes damage equal to the total power among creatures that were sacrificed, plus Jinx's power. I thought it was cool. She herself could be her own, unique commander deck if I wanted to make her, but I think it works fine with Silco. But yeah, that's about it. I had a blast making these cards. They do take a long time, but in any event, I had a lot of fun making this. I have a couple more cards that I made for this one, but I didn't really feel like they were super important. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, I had a lot of fun making these. I just think it's cool to make like my own Magic cards. I think it's kind of fun. Anyways, that's about it. Have a good one.